What is up, everybody? It is Brian with First Shot Tactical, back with another video for you here today. And today we are going to be putting the buffer tube and buffer assembly on this receiver here. This is actually the lower receiver. I have another video of us putting the lower parts kit in, and I'm actually going to be completing this whole one, or this whole build on the channel here. So if you need to know how to put the lower parts kit in, go check that video out. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and do the buffer tube here today. The install, we are doing an Aero Precision Buffer Kit. This is going to be a full Aero Precision build, by the way. So we have that here. I have everything laid out. We have our spring, our actual buffer, came with the castle nut as well as the retainer here. And then this is actually from our Aero Precision Lower Parts Kit. This is the buffer tube, spring, and detent. So we had that from that kit. So that did not come with the buffer tube kit. That came with the lower parts kit. And then we also have our buffer tube. So with that, the only tool we'll need is a castle nut wrench, which I have here, where it has the 2 or 3 prongs to put around the castle nut to tighten that down. You could do it with a flathead screwdriver, but this is going to make your life a lot easier. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing we're going to do to get this started is we're going to put our castle nut and retainer piece on the tube before we install on the lower. So you have your retainer as well as your castle nut. So you want to thread this on. You're going to do it with the larger indents facing the back of the retainer. So you can go ahead and it's just simply righty-tighty on that one. And it might take a little bit. Get it all the way back, basically behind the threads. There you go, like so. And then you're going to take this retainer, and then this does orient a certain way. You can see that one side here at the bottom here by my thumb has a detent outward, and the other side has a detent inward. You're going to put the outward detent away from the buffer tube, or towards the receiver. So like so. Slide that on, and then also there's a little channel here on the bottom of the buffer tube, and that lines up with this little rivet on the retainer as well. So you can see there, once you get it started, all you got to do is just wiggle it back and forth a little bit over the threads, and then the buffer tube is set for us to now put on the receiver. Over on the receiver here, there is a hole right here by my thumb on the back by the buffer tube where it's going to attach. That's where we're going to take our buffer tube spring and detent, and we're going to drop that into the hole. Make sure it goes in. There we go, like so. And then once we get closer to this, when we're screwing it in, we're going to have to push this down to slide it over there. But for now, all we're going to do is leave it like that, and we can actually grab our buffer tube and start screwing it on. So like I said, now we are just going to be screwing the buffer tube on. And again, it's just normal righty-tighty. So you'll start it on the back here and just start screwing it on. And then once we get closer here, you'll see it'll butt up to this spring here as I have. So we're going to push this down with our thumb and keep that held down while we turn the buffer tube more. And then you're going to find that sweet spot, where the lower notches on the back are all facing downward with the pistol grip here. And it's going to be about half over this pin, or it's a little bit over this pin here. So not over the top part of the I guess, nipple there, but just the edge of it, like so. And that's perfect. We don't want to go any more because it'll go over it. So it's just a little bit to capture that. That's all. So now that we have our buffer tube to the right orientation, all we have to do is take our castle nut, and we're just going to fasten that or screw it down to snug it up to the back of the receiver. And again, just want to double check, make sure this is lining up with the hole on the back of the receiver, so that way it matches up perfectly. And it might actually even click in, so that way you have it there. So now it is all in the right spot, and now we're ready to torque this down. So like I said, with it in the right spot, all we want to do now is torque it down with our castle nut wrench. If you have a torque wrench, you can use that too, but I normally just do it with this as far as hand tight. A vise could be helpful here too to torque this down, but we're just going to snug it up. And then I actually like to back it off a little bit to try and make sure that the threads line up. So I'll loosen it a little bit, and then go back and then just retighten it again. And then after that, you should be snugly on there, and your castle nut is good to go. And as far as tightness, how tight you should get this, I actually took it off camera to get it nice and tight. Again, whether it's putting this between your legs and doing some grunt force to make sure it's tight, and then backing it off and doing that one more time, definitely recommend that. Hand tight won't be good enough. Definitely put a little more torque into it to make sure it's on. The only other thing you can do, it's called staking. You can see there's a little groove right here on the castle nut, as well as right here, the little groove as well. Then there's going to be one more down here. And what you can do is you can take a screwdriver or a punch. This one's a bad example to use. I would use a punch, and you can actually set it by the retainer pin here and use a hammer or a chisel, like I said, and then you're going to hit it into that. And basically, it's just going to marry these two pieces up into that indent, so that way it stays snug on there. And that's called staking it. All right, now with the tube on, all we have to do is put the spring and buffer down in there. And so to do so, you can just put it upright, and the spring will jiggle right around that detent, like so. And then when you get to your buffer, you'll see that there's a couple flat spots here, here, and here on it. You just want to line up one of those flat spots with the detent on the bottom, so that way you can get it past. And you might need to use a screwdriver too, but normally, once you got the flat part, it'll be good to go like so. Then I actually like to turn it a little bit so that way that flat spot's not on the spot anymore. So with that, that's all you need to do. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have the buffer tube and spring on our lower here, and it looks good. So with that, that's it for this video as far as the buffer tube assembly. If this is helpful, like and subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned, we're going to be having some more videos finishing this whole build here. We're going to be putting the trigger in, as well as doing the whole upper and barrel assembly. So stay tuned for those, or go check it out on the channel now if this is later on. But either way, I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, let me know down in the comments. And until next time, have fun shooting, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.